Welcome back. Yasmin, Richard are with us. Later, it's the papers and everything else, including why celebrities were covering themselves in flowers and petals last night at the Met Gala. Now, your calls on whether there's anything wrong with gender-neutral toilets, 020 7862 2222. Tell us what you think. Under new legislation proposed by the government, all new restaurants, shopping centres and offices in England will be required to have separate male and female toilets. The Equalities Minister, Kemi Badenoch, has said the law is part of a push to end the rise of gender-neutral toilets, which she says unfairly disadvantages women, the elderly and people who are disabled. Transgender rights groups have argued these spaces protect trans people from discrimination. So is there anything wrong with gender-neutral toilets? Is the government trying to fix a problem that's not a problem, Yasmin?
It's not a problem, really, for most of us. But, of course, they've got the two things now that they're fixated on. One is Rwanda and one is toilets. And that's their offering. That's the offering for the election.
The end times. So
not much imagination.
I'm trying to get my head around what this means. It means that if you're in a classic Costa coffee, I was in the other day, and someone says, "Can I go to?" and they have one room with one door and one lock. That's not covered. That's not an issue. It's where you've got the option of 2 or 3 rooms. You've got to have a male toilet and a female toilet. Do you agree with that, Richard?
Actually, I do. I think in particular, women want to have safe spaces. That's the simple reality of it. It's basic common sense. And actually, bluntly, sometimes men just want a bit of peace. And sometimes women just want a bit of peace and safety. And what's wrong with that? And you go to the ultimate sanctuary, which is the loo.
But a man, you talk about a man being a threat to a woman. A man who is a threat to a woman will go into a women's toilet regardless of any trans issue.
But
right?
Actually, history doesn't show that. That's not the issue. I just think it's basic common sense. Give people some choice as opposed to being forced down this route. I just think I think it's a return to common sense, and it is about dignity and privacy, and most importantly of all, safety.
Moira on Facebook says, all I want is not to be in a queue. There's always a queue for the ladies, and I've been known to go in the gents before now.
Me too.
Well, that is an ongoing issue.
Yeah. But that's a different issue. And also, Kemi Badenoch, who they think is going to be the next
Prime Minister?
Prime Minister, says something which is, she doesn't substantiate, she doesn't name the source or anything. And she says girls at schools that did not have access to single-sex toilets, most schools have single-sex toilets, incidentally, developed UTIs, which is urinary tract infections, because did not want to use gender-neutral toilets. What is the evidence for this? She is mad.
I have heard that actually you have girls in schools that are essentially holding back, not wanting to go to the loos for fear that there are boys in there taking the mickey. That's what I understand about it. I will say I'm not an expert, but
because they would be because instead of having boys and girls toilets, they would just have one toilet for everyone.
Certainly, where I was governor of a school, you had boys' loos and you had girls' loos. And I think it's just a basic common sense. It's like it always was. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, it's broke if you're a woman at the theatre and you can't get to the loo.
Yeah, they're not building more loos for us.
No.
This is just cashing in on the whole trans issue. And the whole thing has become so ugly, so messy.
As a thought here, should women be allowed to access men's loos?
Well, we do anyway.
Well, I was going to say
often because the queues are too long.
Yes. Well, listen, we'd be happy with that.
But I've noticed at theatres, especially, you've got male, female, and unisex toilets, and I don't mind whether I go into the unisex or the female. As long as there is a loo I can go to in time.
That's the most important thing. Enough loos. I mean, no one likes queuing and waiting and all sorts of things.
Some people don't want to be anywhere near the opposite gender when they're engaged in loo activity.
But they don't coming into the cubicle.
No, but an example would be a sort of a kind of mixed, slightly hazy setup at a restaurant or something where, you're not sure where you're going, and then when you're in the urinal, the door opens, and outside there's the ladies, and everyone can look in.
The ladies like to gossip at the basin.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
A bit of powdering. You love a good gossip, Yasmin. Come on.
No, absolutely not. But I must say, the sight of urinals does put me off.
Well,
I don't want to be there.
Yeah, Jane in Lincolnshire. Hi.
Yeah, hi panel.
What do you think?
I don't mind going into like a mixed sex toilet, which I have done once. I thought I'd gone into the bloke's toilets when I saw a bloke coming out of one. But I just wish men would be more respectful and put the toilet seat down. There's nothing worse than going in. You have to waste a bit of toilet paper to put the toilet seat down, and then they miss a bit, so you're actually sat there and you're standing in whatever men have left behind. So no, I don't like it for that reason.
No,
I think you've given Rishi Sunak another big election idea. They will ban men from leaving seats.
Jane's on it. Loo etiquette. Loo etiquette is very important.
The predecessor of reform, UKIP, I mean, we're going back here, had I think it was probably 15 years ago, they had a whole manifesto where there were quite a lot of unusual policies. So, for example, they said the circle line in London should be a proper circle and all bus drivers should wear bowler hats. Now, if you're going to bring some of that back, you could think about a toilet policy.
I think loo etiquette is clearly, I mean, Jane's on it. You know, it is right.
Yeah,
Loo etiquette is important. It's just about thinking of others.
Yeah. Ian in Staffordshire, hi.
Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
We're well, thank you. What do you think about this government policy? So you've got to have a man's and what do we call it now? Mans and ladies.
Well, I'm disabled, so I can only use a disabled toilet, and they're all unisex. It doesn't matter whether you're a boy, a man, or a woman. You use it.
Yeah.
And I was a very sort of naive 13-year-old years ago, and I was in France, and I was stood at the urinal, and women walked past to get to their toilets, and it gave me the shock of my life.
Well, I think that would be scary. But the French seem to be quite out there because they have these, are they called pissoirs in the street, where a man will stand in a kind of metal funnel.
I know.
I don't understand.
But we have none of that, do we? We have to go.
I think we led the
behind
way.
Trees
We led the way in the quality of our loos and loo etiquette. But maybe we're heading backwards.
I could see that loo etiquette is going to be some sort of slogan for the election.
In the manifesto.
Fran in Essex, you're concerned about safety.
Pardon?
Are you concerned about safety, Fran?
Yes. Mostly about safety. I think as far as bowler hats are concerned, it's that fashion thing, not a life or death situation. I think that men will probably not care one way or the other because they are usually, and it sounds very sexist, but I think it's really a danger at a time where women you hear every day about women being killed, being aggressed. The last thing to do is actually have a free-for-all toilet. Yeah. And men are also, sorry guys, not quite as particular about the way they actually use the loos.
Yeah. But that is different. Know? I mean, I'm trying to think, and I may be wrong, but I can't remember a story in recent years of a trans woman violently attacking
well, that's not what I said.
Women in a loo.
No, that's not what I said. But even if it was just one man, I didn't say trans women, I said a man. If men and women were using the same loos late at night, not many people around, I wouldn't feel safe.
No, okay, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes, I'm with you. Yeah, because you're talking about a shared loo that is men and women. Yeah, okay, I've got it. Thank you. Let's see, Sonia in Berkshire. Hi, Sonia.
Yeah, hello. I'm a science teacher, and the mixed toilets just doesn't work for boys and girls. We've had so many problems in my school. As you enter the science block, you have the toilets right in front of you, so it's open air. And you just got the doors to the cubicles. You have a whole mass of girls, boys just waiting for the toilets. Oh. When I get to class, the lesson started, I get girls coming up to me, Miss, can we use the toilet now? Because what happens is the boys start kicking the doors when the girls are in there. And obviously, for reasons for girls, sanitary reasons and all every month. They need a bit more time in the loos, and they come to me in lessons, and I actually let the girls. It wastes lesson time, but I said, of course you can go now if you feel more comfortable.
That's a bit miserable.
That is
miserable. And it sounds like the boys are kicking the doors not to brutalise anyone, but because they're being impatient, which is
just being teenage boys basically, and they're all in groups and they want the loo and kicking doors. So girls are feeling very uncomfortable. So it needs to go back to girls and boys, separate toilets. I do understand the fact that in schools you might get girls or boys hanging about in toilets, wasting time to get out of lessons. But, there needs to be, they still need to have the separate loos and the separate doors to the loos.
Thank you, Sonia.